washing dishes won't increase sexual frequency. I mean, it's one of those things I hear often not. What's good, Corey? So I'm gonna really jump into this real quick. I'm not gonna be with you too long. So it all starts with, a client comes in or a couple comes in, they complain of some issues that they're having. Now, whether they are infidelity in nature or whether there has been some type of dysfunction that has persisted in the relationship for a long period of time. The bottom line is one of my first questions is, how is the intimacy? And usually and I'm going to say it's not gender specific, because I hear it from male and as well as females that there is no intimacy going on. That it's pretty much been a drought. So I ask the next question: how often are you guys having sex? Maybe once in a month or 2 months or 3 months, along those lines. And so naturally I'm shocked. So then the other portion of this comes to, well, one of the parties feels that they're maybe overwhelmed on the job, they're tired, they're frustrated and everything like that, and that they need some things to be taken off their plate, as they can say. Maybe if he would clean around the house more, maybe if he would wash a dish or two, or maybe if he would just look more into some of my emotional needs, then things would persist better in our relationships. Or if she would assist more in my emotional needs, then maybe things would work out a whole lot better. Okay. And that usually is the general consensus of what I've seen from quite a few couples on the couch. The issue is that it's not necessarily, because sometimes with guys, well, I'm not going to say all guys, but with some guys, it's one of those transactionary items, quid pro quo, what for what. If you don't understand it, it's okay. If I go to work and I do a job, I'm expecting to get paid in the end. And if I don't get paid, then I feel like you've cheated me. Does that make sense? Okay. And so it goes along those lines, is that person in the eyes of that individual has become somewhat of a person that's good on their word. So when we go and we say that, if I do this, then I will do that, and it is not fulfilled at the end of the day or at the, agreed upon bargain, then there's possibly an issue. It's a problem. There's a breakdown. And what I'm finding is that no matter how many items that you present to that person in order to, get what you desire in the end, whether it's intimacy, whether it's more quality time, whether it's anything that relationships and couples need to grow, to build together, a lot of times it still will never be enough. And so then again, it goes back to our topic. And for those who were just joining us, the Ramble Relationship MythBuster: washing dishes won't increase sexual frequency. And so again, the quid pro quo, the what for what, it's not necessarily saying that you're going to get what you are looking for in the end if you do said task. So no matter how much time you spend with your children, which you should be anyway, no matter how much time that you clean your house, which you should be anyway, no matter what you do, it's not going to equate to what you desire in the end. And why, you ask? Because there are other underlying factors that go along this situation that are interplay that you haven't even considered. True. There is past and previous experiences. And what do you mean by that? Well, again, some people, they may have a medical issue. It may be a problem of libido. There may be a libido mismatched. Now, what does it mean for an individual in our day and age to come out openly and say that, especially if you're a guy? It's challenging. It's one of those things. It's like, not too many men want to be known as that guy, as that individual. So, in general, it's something that is not communicated, not something that is not discussed, something that is not talked about. I have a low libido. Guys are pretty much not going to say that out loud. So there's medical concerns and anything like that, possible trauma, assault, abuse that has happened that can be somewhat of an issue when it comes to sexual intimacy with your partner. Don't believe me? Ask someone that has possibly been assaulted or sexually assaulted and that has not been processed, this has not been worked on. So for, I guess, maybe 10 to 20 years, they are carrying on this baggage and this weight of abuse and trauma in their lives. And now they are called on upon by their spouse to disrobe and to place themselves in a very vulnerable state. And at times they can revert back to that vulnerable state when they were a adolescent or maybe pre-adolescent, when they are in the throes with their partner at that point in time. Again, let me go back to my title. Washing dishes won't increase sexual frequency. There's more to play in this. And so I think that as a community and a society, we have to come to that realization that we have to start to dig deeper into why certain things aren't occurring within our relationships, within our marriages. Why is it not happening? What's really going on? It's not about me just taking things off your plate. It's about some things that are necessarily going on with us, between us, with you. So guess who's there to help? Good old counselor or a trusted friend that is non-judgmental. Why? Because that's their job. They're trained. Well, okay, maybe not the trusted friend, but the therapist. They're trained to look at these areas and look at these items. Maybe the communication between you and that partner has eroded to such a degree where you can't talk to one another anymore. Okay, I get it. So let someone help you in those moments. Put those pieces back together so that it can happen. Again, like I said, there are individuals out there, some men, that are very transactional. If something is happening, it's good. If it's not, then I feel cheated at the end of the day, and then boom. It's funny because, and I was thinking about this earlier today, and I want to get this right. And so when, for adult entertainers, and I want to put in a point on this. That's why adult entertainers will never not have a job in our society. Like they say, it's the oldest profession in the book. They'll never not have a job. Why? Because it goes into the point of they provide a service. Their job is to make you feel better about the whole experience at the end. If they make you feel better, there's a possibility for repeat business, if I can say it like that. There's a possibility for repeat business if I do my job well. If I make you feel special, if I make you feel welcome, if I make myself feel like I am desiring, if I make you think that I am desiring you at the end of the day, yes, then you'll possibly be back. You will be patronizing me with your funds. And so it goes on to that place where, if an adult entertainer is doing so, there is a transaction that is taking place. You give money, and it happens. You give money, and it happens. So for some of us in our society, we are wired that way, where we do something, and it happens. We do something, and it happens. But when it doesn't happen, there's an issue. Huge problem. And not to say that you should look at your relationships as such. Well, not to say that, because there is somewhat of love, that thing involved with that process. But the bottom line is that when we are filling ourselves with false ideas and items and things that we're looking at to maybe feel better, maybe feel more connected or so, and it's not based on facts, it's based on ideas and principles which we don't really even adhere to ourselves, then it begins the slow decay of a relationship. Now, not even an adult entertainer, but someone else that is caught your view, caught your gaze, showing you the attention, showing you desire, or maybe you are getting that transaction, but there is no desire behind it. It's just a cold ham sandwich, if I can say it like that. And they're doing it out of obligation, which is even worse. So again, like I go back to it, it says, random relationship MythBuster, washing dishes won't increase sexual frequency. Wait a minute, I got something about it. Somebody said, David said, he said that communication is the problem for a lot of couples, even when the intimacy is there. And true, because that point brought me to my last item, was that even in the dynamics and the history between two individuals, believe it or not, we learn about each other at rapid paces. We learn what one person will do and what they won't do. And we make the adjustments accordingly. It's just like football. Well, hopefully like football in some cases, where coach, they get rocked. Some football team, they go in, they get rocked for a half, then they come back out, and then boom, they just start doing whatever. And it's like almost, it's like, where was this the first half? They've made adjustments. And so in our relationships, to some degree, we make adjustments. We learn about the people we're with. We've watched them. We've observed them. We know how they talk to us. We know how we would like them to talk to us. We know what we don't want or so, and we go on from there. Sometimes compensating. Oh, yeah, and by the way, that's where the other stuff comes in. But yet sometimes compensating to a fault. So we got to be careful, ultimately. We got to be careful of how we are communicating, how we're working with one another, and how we interact, because it sets the tone. There's a statement that I want to say, is that believe patterns, not apologies. So that which one person is showing you, believe it. The apologies come over and over, but you believe the pattern of how they relate to you in those moments. So, for more on this topic and topics like this, visit us at bushcounselingservices.com. That's bushcounselingservices.com.